So we're gonna take our chimichurri here. We're just doing quality control here. Just wanna make sure that we nailed it. That looks gorgeous. Baby. Now y'all know I love steaks, and I also love me a good sandwich. So in this video, I'm gonna show y'all how to grill a perfect steak and make an epic steak sandwich recipe. But this just ain't any sandwich. This is gonna be a steak torta with all the fixings. But there's one question to answer first, and that's how do you grill a perfect steak? Welcome back to week 4 of 5, y'all, in this special partnership with Walmart for the Get Your Grill On Challenge. In this 5-week series, we're sharing delicious recipes, grilling tips, and how-to videos to get you grilling like a pro by Memorial Day, the official kickoff of summer. So whether you're new to grilling or looking to improve your cooking skills, this series will show you how to save time and money with Walmart and warm up that grill for the spring. Now let's grill up some steaks and make some sandwiches. Vámonos! So in this video, I'm gonna share with y'all some time and money saving tips as well as some general tips. Our first tip is a general tip, and the question is, how do you cook a great steak? Well, first you gotta buy a great steak to cook a great steak, and you can get great steaks at Walmart. Now the USDA has several grades of steaks, and for a great steak, you wanna be cooking at least a choice or a prime. Today we're cooking a choice because I always say that a choice steak is a great choice. When you're cooking a steak, you want to cook hot and fast, and you want to use the flippity flip method. Now the flippity flip method basically means you flip your steak. You want to develop a nice char on all sides, but when you flip early and often, you keep way more moisture inside the steak. You'll see the pool of moisture come to the top of that steak. It evaporates. Once it evaporates, it's gone. But if you flip, as soon as you start to see moisture there and flip again each time you see moisture there, you will render a much juicier steak. Now the other thing you want to do with a steak is cook it hot and fast. There are several different ranges of doneness. Some people like them rare, some like them medium, some like them well done. Today we're shooting for a medium doneness to make a perfect steak torta. Now here's the second tip. Now this is a money saving tip. Steaks are a very hearty piece of meat. They're very rich and succulent. And if you slice it just right, you can actually feed several people with one steak, especially if you're making a torta sandwich. You slice it just right and you can make several sandwiches. Now the third tip is a time-saving tip. Now this recipe has 3 main parts. It's the steak, the chimichurri, and the grilled onions. Now each of these cascades into one another to create a smooth and easy cooking process. All right, let's get this part started. So you see how I got a little extra Kingsford up here? I want a nice hot fire so we can grill those steaks hot and fast. Flip, flip, flippity flip. Let me grab these tumbleweeds, get them lit up. We got fire. Let's get this on here really quick like. That's gonna take about 5 or 7 minutes. We'll be right back, friends. I like to pour my Kingsford in there. You can see the flames kind of coming out. Today I'm putting all the coals right down the middle because unless you're doing a reverse sear, it's really not necessary. Steaks are hot and fast. They're flip, flip, flippity flip. Get them done just right. Take them out, let them rest. I'm gonna get my grate on there, put the lid on. All right, I'm gonna set my vents. I'm gonna close this just a little bit. Instead of 3/4 of the way closed, I want it 3/4 of the way open. I wanted to maintain a nice hot fire. Stay with me and I'll show you why. Now I wanna show you guys a little trick with the onion. This is something that my dad and his friends used to do every time they got together to have a carne asada. So we're gonna take this onion, we're gonna cut it basically in quarters, not all the way down, about 3/4 of the way. So then you wanna open it up about like so. Next thing we're gonna do here, and I like to use a double foil because the heat tends to make the foil a little bit brittle. Next part of this magic trick is we're gonna use about 1/4 of a butter stick, which is 2 tablespoons. And I'm gonna cut it up a little bit as well. You wanna take some of this, stuff it in here, open it up, just enough to get all that butter in there. Next, we're gonna get some of this Grill Mates Montreal steak seasoning and give it a nice, generous little shake here. We want that right down the middle. So now we're just gonna wrap this onion up, like so. Let's get this onion on the grill. And we're gonna start working on our deliciousness. Now we're gonna make a chimichurri, what I call the chimichurri. Now I like to start with the tomatoes first. We're gonna dice these up pretty small. In a moment, we're gonna add some seasoning on here. I want that salt to start drawing the moisture out of the tomatoes so that it can blend really, really well with the other ingredients. The recipe calls for about half a cup of tomatoes. So this is kind of more or less where we're gonna be at. We're gonna add a teaspoon of Grill Mates Montreal steak seasoning. We're gonna use this red bell pepper here, and I'm gonna use about half of it. We're gonna dice this up fine, kind of the same way we did the tomato. This is gonna be a really delicious chimichurri. Next up, we're gonna use a good amount of this parsley. We're gonna take most of this head here and chop it up. You wanna squeeze it nice and tight like this so you can chop it. Smells good. And you can just kind of keep chopping it up to the consistency and the texture that you desire. Get this parsley in here. Now here's part of the Texas twist here, cilantro. And we're gonna just basically cut that head off, and we're gonna chop this up too. We've got a lot of delicious green going on in here. We've got that part done. We're gonna use a tablespoon of red wine vinegar going in here. Drop that in there. We have a teaspoon of oregano. Drop that in there. And we're gonna use the juice of 1 whole lime, which generally is about a tablespoon, sometimes 2. And here we go, friends. We have a 1/2 cup of Pompeian olive oil. This is the robust extra virgin. Next up, we're going to toss it. We want all those flavors to get married. And we've been tossing for about a minute now. I think all of our flavors and our ingredients have blended really well together. I'm just gonna give it one little taste for salt. Wow. That's really good. You get a really nice crunch from the tomato and the bell pepper. You get the freshness of the parsley and the cilantro. And then that olive oil just kind of really blends it all well together. And I'm gonna go ahead and cover this, put it in our refrigerator for a little while. All right, let's open up these packages, get them seasoned up. Get a little bit of oil onto our steaks here, just enough to kind of get the steak seasoning to stick. And here's a little known secret. Terry and I have loved this Grill Mates Montreal steak seasoning since we got married. Since we were very young, we used to use it quite a bit. We want to make sure that we get it on all sides. So I'm going to get a little extra seasoning right here. We're going to get our steak right here, get that on there. You can be pretty aggressive with your seasoning, just like we're doing here. We've got these all seasoned up. I want to show you guys how we cook it perfectly. I took the lid off. It's been off for approximately 1.5 minutes. We are ready to cook steaks. Look at that. Ooh, you hear that sizzle? All right, my friends, you see the steak is starting to drip a little bit of fat in there. It's time to flip because we have a very cold piece of meat going into the grill. So we want to keep flipping it so it doesn't burn on either side. We're going to let it get nice and hot. We're going to get a little bit of flame action going on here too. We're going to let it cook for a little bit, and then we're going to put the lid on just to kind of slow things down. We're shooting for about 135 to 140 degrees, somewhere right in between there. How often you flip is also determined by how much heat you have, how close the steak is to the fire, and also how thick the steak meat is. We're running about 450, almost 500 degrees, so normally you're gonna flip about every 2 minutes. So I'm gonna flip it over one more time because it's been 2 more minutes. Look at that gorgeousness right there. I've got my steak going in there. I've got a piece of foil here. Now, one key thing for me is always rest that steak. This is about a 1 1/4 inch steak, so we only need about 5 or 7 minutes. We want those juices to kind of settle down inside the meat. Then another 2 minutes. Let's do another flippity flip. Now you see how the fire slowed down a little bit. We're gonna flip it same direction as the other one. Oh yeah, baby, look at that. Beautiful, that steak's coming along really good. We're gonna keep our lid on here and just let it keep going. All right, in a little bit, we're gonna go ahead and temp that steak. You always wanna use a meat thermometer. If you use a meat thermometer, you're never gonna go wrong. You're never gonna make a mistake with your steaks. You're gonna get them to the perfection that you desire. It's time to look again. It has been another 3 minutes. Let's look at this steak. You can see where it's sizzling big time right here on that fatty side. So I'm gonna flip it over one more time and keep that fatty side over there. And let's check the temp while we're here. 125, we're almost there, friends. So we'll be back in another 5 minutes. Let's find out where our steak is at. Remember, we wanna pull it somewhere between 135 and 140. We're at 135, 134, I'm gonna call it good. We're gonna wrap it in foil here for a little bit. I'm gonna go ahead and take out my onion. It's nice and soft. So we're just gonna wrap the steak loosely, not super tight. I'm just gonna fold this over like this. We're gonna let our steak rest. While the steak's resting, let's prepare our bolillos. For those of y'all that don't know, this is a bolillo. These are very popular, very common here in South Texas where I'm from. This is like the #1 steak bread. It is a Mexican white bread. And so I'm gonna take this bread knife, cut it right down the middle here. Now here's a trick. We're gonna use some Hellmann mayonnaise on our bolillo on both sides. And remember that mayo has a lot of oil in it. So the oil is gonna give a really nice color and a really delicious flavor, especially since we're gonna toast them on the grill. Let's get them on the grill really quick like. Let's get a quick look at our onion while we've got our bolillo breads on the grill over there. Look at all that delicious looking butter in there. I'm gonna work on my onion, but I also don't want to burn my bolillos. I'm gonna flip both of them over. Let's get some of this onion out of here. It smells so good. Got our bolillo breads looking really good. So now we're gonna do the inside. We've got the outside looking perfect. And it doesn't take long. Remember, we're running a steak fire, so it's pretty dang hot. Really quick like, I'm gonna slice this onion while those breads are getting their final little toast. I'd say they're ready, friends. Check it out. Oof, look at that, beautiful. As I mentioned earlier, mayo is a very big part of tortas, so we're gonna get a little extra mayo on here. And Hellmann's is delicious. Our steak has been resting for 7 minutes. Let's go ahead and pull it out and take a look and see what we got. Ooh, look at that beautiful steak right there. Looks absolutely gorgeous. Juicy steak right there. So let me get it on the cutting board here so we can slice it up. So we're gonna take some of this steak, we're gonna go right across and cut some delicious slices here. And look how perfectly it cooked. Absolutely perfect. So we're gonna take our chimichurri here. We're just doing quality control here. Just wanna make sure that we nailed it. Look at that. That looks gorgeous. Baby. All right, friends, that steak is spot on. Let's go ahead and assemble our torta. First thing we're gonna do is we're gonna get a little bit of this onion on both of these. So let's take some of this steak now. We're gonna lay some of this on here. And last but not least, the Chimitex, the Arnitex Chimichurri. All we gotta do now is put the top bun on. Now that's a ribeye torta. Let's get a bite of this sandwich. That is one delicious bite. That bread with that Hellmann's mayo on there just really has a great flavor. The steak, of course, is fantastic with that Grill Mates Montreal steak seasoning. The Pompeian olive oil ties that chimichurri together with a fresh taste. When you put all that together, you're talking about one epic bite. Friends, I hope you try this recipe. I promise you will love it. Ooh, man, I hadn't had an epic torta sandwich like that in a while. That was amazing and delicious. Now I need to wash it all down with this bettergoods organic red fruit juice blend. I've been cooking all afternoon, getting ready for this. It's been hot. I'm ready to cool down. Oh, baby, that is so good. All right, friends, now that wraps up week 4 of 5 in this Get Your Grill On Challenge in partnership with Walmart. This steak sandwich was epic and amazing. If you want to find this recipe with a full list of ingredients, as well as grilling tips, how-to videos, and more, you can click the link in my description and head to the Get Your Grill On destination page on walmart.com to find it all there. All right, now y'all stay tuned for next week, which is week 5 of 5. That's right, the last video in this series, and we're gonna be grilling some street-style hot dogs that are absolutely amazing. This is a must-have recipe in your arsenal, so don't miss it. We'll see you there. Boom!